بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So then the next mas'ala is about fasting 6 fasts of Shawwal after Ramadan. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, من صام رمضان ثم أتبعه 6 من شوال كأنما صام الدهر. That whoever كأنما صام الدهر, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan, then follows it up with 6 fasts of Shawwal, that person, it's as if he fasted the whole year. And if he does it regularly, every year, it would be as if he fasted his entire life. So connected to this is the reason, or a couple of reasons why they mention this, and that is, it comes in another hadith of Thawban radiyallahu anhu, possible reason why it's like this, and that is because the reward of a deed is multiplied by 10. So 30 fasts of Ramadan, even 29, the reward will be the same. 30 fasts of Ramadan times 10 is 300, and then another 6 fasts times 10 is 60, so 360 fasts, which is basically a fasting for a year. So that's one aspect of looking at it in terms of a reward. There's another 2 things connected to this mas'ala of how do we conclude the reward, or what's the significance of specifically 6, etc. We'll touch on it just now. So sometimes it happens that a person has not fasted Ramadan. He's not fasted Ramadan, or she's not fasted Ramadan for a reason. Sometimes for an invalid reason, like for no reason, or for a valid reason. A valid reason like sickness, traveling, or a lady menstruating, etc. Then they do not fast the entire month of Ramadan. Then should they fast the Qadha first and then their 6 fasts, or can they fast their 6 fasts first and then they can do the Qadha? How does it work? So here we'd say generally, since the fasting of Ramadan, the Qadha, that's obligatory on a person. So generally obligatory comes before non-obligatory actions. So preference should be given to obligatory actions. As a starting point, we say that. So as a starting point, we say a person should try and fast his Qadha first. He should try and fast his Qadha first. But what happens if a person is not able to fast his Qadha first? Not even that, but a person, maybe he has many Qadha. So it's so much he will not manage to fast all the Qadha and then 6 extra. Or a person wants to try and fast the 6 fasts first and then the Qadha later, because the Qadha, he has ample time to do Qadha. The day is open to do Qadha of it either until the end of the year, until the next Ramadan comes in. That's when he should be done. If he doesn't, then he has to give a kafara, a sar of the kafara that we mentioned previously in other lessons, for delaying the fasts, for delaying the Qadha. Or like the Hanafi madhab, he's allowed to after the next Ramadan to fast the Qadha without any kafara to be paid. So basically the ulama say in this situation, they discuss a couple of masail. Number 1, they speak on, is it permissible to fast non-obligatory nafil or sunnah fasts before your Ramadan fast, before completing the Qadha of Ramadan? So here the majority of the ulama allow it. The majority of the ulama allow a person to fast non-obligatory fasts, his sunan fasts, his nafil fasts, before the obligatory fast, before his Qadha of Ramadan. And that is the opinion of the Hanafi madhab, the Maliki madhab, the Shafi'i madhab, and also the second opinion in the Hanbali madhab. The opinion of the Hanbali madhab, the relied upon position of the madhab itself, is that it's not permissible. Your Qadha comes first. So therefore, and they have a couple of ahadith that many question the authenticity on, that aids their position that they hold, the madhab itself, that they do not allow any nafil fast before the Qadha fast. And then based on the first opinion we mentioned the Maliki madhab and the Shafi'i madhab. The Maliki madhab and many of the Shafi'i scholars, they say it's permissible to fast nafil fasts before you finish your Qadha, but it's makruh. So it's makruh to do so. First, you should try and finish your Qadha. The Hanafi madhab allow, as we said, nafil fasts before your Qadha fasts, and they say it's permissible without any, it's not makruh. It's not makruh to fast nafil fasts first. It's not makruh. So then So based on that, again, it connects to what we said just now. Which one should be done first, the fard or the nafil fast? The Hanbali madhab, they say that nafil fast is not valid. The nafil fast is not valid before Ramadan. And the second position is like the Hanafi position. So now a person could ask, then can a person have a dual intention? For example, he fasts these 6 days of Shawwal, and he has intention of Qadha, and he has intention for one of the 6 fasts of Shawwal. So here the ulama say, the Hanbali madhab say it's not valid. If a person does that, then neither would his qadha be valid, nor would his nafil fast be valid. And that connects to what we mentioned earlier, and that is you need a firm intention. So here half fard intention, half nafil intention would cancel both out. It would cancel the fard out because you need one firm intention for the fard fast, which is now your qadha. And it would cancel the nafil out because you're not allowed to perform nafil fast before the fard fast. You're not allowed to perform nafil fast before completing your qadha. The second opinion of the Hanbali madhab is that this dual intention would cancel out the fard. This dual intention would cancel out the fard fast, and therefore it would flip into a complete nafil action. So it would count as a fast of the 6 days of Shawwal, but you still have to do qadha. As for the Hanafi school, then many of the Hanafi ulama allow it. Some do not allow a dual intention, like mentioned by Darul Ulum Deoband, for example, but other ulama allow it. They say it's permissible, but the primary intention should be qadha, should be your qadha of Ramadan, and secondary intention should be that you are fasting a day in Shawwal, and they say it's hoped that then you'd get the reward. It's hoped you'd then get the reward of the qadha, and then obviously the 6 fast of Shawwal that you would do. And the Shafi'i madhab say similar. They say the same as the Ahnaf, but they have 2 opinions in the madhab whether it's permissible to dual the intention or not, with many of them saying it's permissible to dual the intention, as we said, of the primary one being the stronger one, which is the qadha. But they mention in this case there could be lesser reward for a person for fasting these 6 days compared to having specific days of fasting alone without dueling the intention. And other Shafi'i scholars say it will not be valid to duel the intention. Those Maliki scholars who apply this hadith and apply this virtue, some of the ulama have pointed out that based on the principles of the Maliki madhab, when it comes to actions and ibadat that you can duel intention, they would say this is another scenario where dueling the intention would be valid. And then the other opinion of the ulama, we mentioned the Hanbali position, we mentioned then the second position of the Hanafi and the Shafi'i scholars is that you cannot duel the intention. And that goes back to a mas'ala where they ask, is it intended that a person fast 6 days of Shawwal, or is the objective merely filling 6 days of Shawwal with fasting, like a person entering the mosque to perform the reading of the mosque, Tahiyyatul Masjid? Is it a salah person? Is it intentional to perform 2 rak'ah before sitting down, or is the objective to perform salah before sitting down? In that case, if you perform the fard, the sunnah, and you had the intention of Tahiyyatul Masjid, the nafil, then it would count as well. So this is one of the main differences of the opinion of the Shafi'i and of the Shafi'i and Hanafi scholars. Those who say it would be invalid, because they'd say Shawwal is these 6 days are days you have to fast specifically for Shawwal, not fill the day merely with fasting. So when we say it like that, that means you have to have the intention of this day of Shawwal, and 6 days specifically of Shawwal, and you cannot have qadha and then as a secondary intention you put the qadha fast, or you put the 6 fast of Shawwal. And that is different, for example, Monday and Thursday. Monday and Thursday, the objective there is to fill the day with fasting. So there you can have your intention of qadha, and then it's Monday, so it's there in the back of your mind that is also Monday, it's also Thursday, but there the objective is to fill the day with fasting. And then they speak, what about if a person did not fast the full month of Ramadan? It's connected to the previous masail, because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man sama Ramadan thumma, whoever fasted Ramadan, indicates it should be the entire month of Ramadan. Thereafter, after completing Ramadan as it should have been completed, 29 or 30 days, then he focuses his intention to the days of Shawwal. So those again then here the ulama again, many prefer, a lot of them prefer that the qadha is done first. Because then a person would have completed his fasting of Ramadan, and thereafter he would fast his six extra days. And here we'd say here we'd say for a person, he should try and do his qadha first. He should try and do his qadha first, that's more important. But the qadha, there's ample time to perform the qadha, and there's not ample time to perform the 6 fasts of Shawwal. So if a person, for example, a person has too many qadha, he has 7, 8, 9, 10, and then adding another 6 of Shawwal, becomes it difficult for him to fast another half month or another third of the month or something like that. In that case, and he knows of himself that he'd try and do the qadha as soon as possible thereafter, and not delay too long, especially after the following Ramadan comes, then in this case he can fast the nafil fast first. He can fast the nafil fast first. Or if a person knows from his habit that he will not be lazy or something to fast, and if he doesn't need to really be in the vibe of fasting to fast, like in this case you just fasted Ramadan, so to add 6 extra is not a big deal. But somebody after fasting, he might fast Shawwal after Ramadan because he's still in the vibe of fasting. Thereafter it becomes difficult. For a person who find it difficult to fast, he should do qadha first, or she should do qadha first. And then if there's time to, they can do the fast of Shawwal. And if a person knows of himself that he'll be able to, then inshallah he can start with the nafil fast and then perform the qadha fast after. That may be better for a person than to dual the intention based on the difference of opinion and the chance of the reward being less. But in the case where a person needs to do qadha and he knows he's not generally a person who fasts, but he wants both rewards and he knows he's lazy, for example, then he can dual the intention, inshallah, the primary one being the qadha fast. And then they say the reward. We mentioned how we get the reward. They say 30 days times 10 and 6 days times 6, 360. And that's from the hadith of Thawban as well. So that based on the fact that you'll get a full month's or full year's worship, some ulama say that can be achieved in any month that you fast 30 days and then you fast 6 days of the next month, that will equal 360, because the reward is multiplied by 10 plus. That's the bounty of Allah. So in this case they say that any month you fast and follow it up with 6 more days, you'll get the reward. So here Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali says no, what is meant is that you'd fast 30 fard fasts and then 6 nafil, and then you get the reward of fasting the entire year as fard fast, not nafil, which cannot happen in outside of Ramadan. But some ulama don't agree with this, like Sheikh Muhammad al-Khalwati. He says that if a person makes a vow to fast the month of Ramadan, now a vow, it's obligatory. We mentioned it in our i'tikaf lesson. A vow, the ruling on a vow, and before a vow and after a vow. But once a vow is made, now it's an obligatory action. So if you then fasted the obligatory action of a vow fast for a month, and then that means you got an obligatory fast of 30 days times 10 and then your 6 days. But he then says that perhaps Ramadan is specified because that has been made fard by Allah. It's been made obligatory by Allah, by the Sharia itself, and not by a person himself. So that holds extra weight and extra significance. And based on what we just said now, of this reward being able to be achieved, somebody fasting 6 extra days and then he multiply that by 10, some ulama, a minority opinion, they also say that if a person fasts in another month other than Shawwal, he could get the reward, especially in the case when, or preferably in the case when a person could not fast the 6 in Shawwal for a valid reason, either because he's busy with qadha or he's also traveling or something like that. Then to fast the 6 days in another month, and then that gets multiplied by 10 would achieve the reward. But this is a minority opinion, but we mention it because it is out there. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man sama Ramadan thumma itba'ahu sittan min Shawwal. Whoever fasts Ramadan and then he follows it up from Shawwal. They say it's min means tabi'iyya, means it's a portion of Shawwal itself. So therefore the majority would say fasting those 6 outside of Shawwal will not count. Those would say fasting outside of Shawwal would not count. But other ulama, like some of the Hanbali ulama, for example, touch on this specifically, and they say that reward of 30 days times 10 and then 6 days times 10, since that can be achieved every way, it's not specifically intended. And why is the fast specifically for Shawwal? They say it's because it's so connected to Ramadan and therefore has specific significance that's not found in any other month. Hence the fasts have to be in Shawwal, and 6 of them, because the special significance of Ramadan, and then these fasts connected to Ramadan. So in saying that, if a person did not fast the full month of Ramadan and then he fasted 6 days after, in Shawwal, and then he'd do Qadha after. That means he would have not fasted the complete month of Ramadan. So some of the ulama point out that it's hoped, inshallah, he'd still get the reward. The person would still get the reward. Why? As long as those fasts he missed in Ramadan, they were with a valid reason, and then he was not able to perform qadha of all of them in Shawwal, and then included in that is other 6 fasts of Shawwal. So that would again substantiate or bring strength to the opinion of a person delaying the qadha and fasting the nafil fast first. And we gave suggestions for a person, the steps to follow, and to analyze from himself what's best for himself, and then to fast accordingly. Lastly, they mention, is it better to fast these days consecutively or separately, individually? How to go about it? They say, first of all, these fasts of Shawwal, they can happen on any 6 days. It's fine as long as it's not the first day, because that's the day of Eid, then it's haram to fast on the day of Eid. But then they mention what is the recommended manner. So the Hanbali and Shafi'i madhab, they recommend it's done immediately, consecutively after Eid consecutively, that you fast as soon as possible, because that's kind of rushing to the goodness of Allah, to the bounties of Allah. So you do, and it's also from competing in actions that the Quran mentions. So they recommend it's done. They say it's better to be done as soon as possible, and 6 one after the other. The Maliki madhab, those Maliki scholars who say that with this hadith, they practice on this hadith and the virtue of this hadith, they say it can be fasted individually, and they do not specify that fasting consecutively is better. And some of the Hanafi scholars, like in Fatawa al-Hindiya, they mention that to fast 2 a week. They recommend it to be fasted 2 a week, 2 every week. And that covers most of the masail connected to the 6 fasts of Shawwal.